Lions, holy men, and foxes. Rotating elites in America. Greetings. This is Forward Research with analyst Bradford Townsend. The topic of this video is the circulation of governing elites in the United States of America. There are four thinkers whose ideas are credited: physician Gustave Le Bon, Dr. Vilfredo Pareto, Michel Equiem de Montaigne, and Niccolo Machiavelli. These great writers and thinkers all contributed to elite circulation theory. Dr. Vilfredo Pareto lived from 1848 to 1923. He was an aristocrat engineer, mathematician, economist, and sociologist. The first standard bearer of empirical data tables and mathematical equations in the discipline of economics, which continues to the present day. A major discovery of Dr. Pareto was that all societies and civilizations have a class of elites and all have similar distribution of power, income, and wealth. All societies have a predictable distribution, with wealth concentrated at the top. 20% of the population controls 80% of the wealth, with the top 1% holding an enormous share. All four gentlemen discussed the circulation of elites in their writing. Physician Gustave Le Bon lived from 1841 to 1931. A psychiatrist and anthropologist, wrote about personality and character among classes and nationalities. Niccolo Machiavelli was and is a controversial thinker. He was a pragmatic, practical realist and a hard-headed thinker. A prince or ruler must do a little evil for the greater good. Niccolo, who lived during the Renaissance 1469 to 1527, used the metaphors of fox and lions to describe the personality and character traits of political operators. Michel Equiem de Montaigne, a Renaissance philosopher 1533 to 1592, created the essay style, writing an eloquent, candid, realistic, humanistic, and personal prose. Michel critiqued himself and society. The French gentleman was willing to share his flaws and observations, both on the mundane and supernatural. Montaigne, sitting in his chateau, at his desk in his library overlooking his garden, liberated minds across the world. The vulgate or common masses, Dr. Gustave Le Bon observed, are similar in all societies, while the elites, the top 1 to 3% of the population in a sector of the society, have a typical personality and character. Political leaders, athletes, artists, musicians, poets, scholars, industrialists, scientists, and intellectuals are the elite sectors. Gustave could psychologically profile the typical personality and character of Berbers, Tahitians, Americans, and Chinese elites. The consensus concerning personality and character among the psychologists is personality is formed and stable at age 7. Examples of personality traits are introverted, extroverted, gregarious, detail-oriented, optimistic, pessimistic, confident, or cautious. Character is very different. The values of the individual learned from family, peers, sports, and school. The values force traits within the individual's ego, unconscious, and conscience. Ambition, industriousness, integrity, virtues, and vices. Peers have the strongest influence. Character of an elite class, such as politicians, takes centuries to change. Character is malleable, but an individual will not see change in their lifespan, and change will be very gradual and subtle. The German national soccer team has a personality and character. Soccer is an example of the personality and character of an elite sector of society. Soccer fans ponder the character of their favorite national teams. Have they changed in your lifetime? 3 of the personality types found in all societies among the ruling elites are lion, fox, and priest. The lion personality, generals, admirals, sheriffs, intelligence directors, and police chiefs, are conservative, cautious, serious, patriotic, rentier, duty-driven, violent, practical versus theoretical. The lion values family, loyalty, honesty, and nation. She is willing to kill to protect her cubs. The lioness has a social Darwinist view of the working class and poor. Survival of the fittest. Criminals should be punished, and justice should be decisive and swift. Lions will destroy a society. Lions do not trust other nations and view them as rivals. They are not creative or innovative. Their enemies form alliances against them, retarding advancement in theory, culture, and technology. The lions become isolated culturally, militarily, and economically. Their rivals become enemies, choking off resources. All lion-ruled societies are overwhelmed by a coalition of rivals and enemies. Nations ruled by foxes, lawyers, bankers, industrialists, ambassadors, bureaucrats. The foxes admire risk-takers, entrepreneurs, deal-makers, speculators, theory, international business, global citizens, adopt foreign cultural habits, are skilled in rhetoric, creative, they are convincing liars, and enjoy bending the rules. Foxes are the personality and character type a nation needs to negotiate trade and armament agreements. The foxes are compassionate toward the poor in their rhetoric and promote the interest of the welfare state. They energetically build networks of personal relationships with each other and the elites of other nations. Foxes empathize with criminals. The petty criminal was abused as a child in a single mother, low-income household. The criminals should be given the opportunity for rehabilitation. Foxes oppose the death penalty. A large portion of foxes are lawyers whom switch between defending and prosecution of cases. They have a sophisticated sense of morality and human nature. Foxes, if allowed to rule for an overly long period, will destroy a nation. Criminals, spies, gangsters will coerce more power. Foreign agents will infiltrate the levers of power, and budgets will overflow, purchasing goodwill from the vulgate. Foxes can become delusional and blind to their nation's security. The fox talks their way out of conflicts. They soon find themselves surrounded by blackmailers, lobbyists, gangsters, and thugs, looting the people's treasury. The lions, vulgate, middle class, and priests will ally to remove the foxes. The priest personality, cardinals, imams, scientists, gurus, rabbis, and adepts. The consensus of the 4 brilliant minds was that this class of society was the best for governing society. Why? The priest, scholar, scientists recognized the roles and necessity of both the lions and foxes. All 3 personality types accumulate vast wealth from their privilege and power. Priests recognize both good and evil. The priests usually direct their fortunes toward investments such as education, infrastructure, and healthcare. The priest scientists have had the longest track record of stability. Examples: Pharaonic Egypt and the Roman Catholic Pope. The scholars all observed the ruling class weakening over many years and becoming a leisure class, elite, decay. The ruling class must have a monopoly on advanced weaponry, technology, and authority to use violence. Failure to use violence will always result in the ruling elite being replaced with a new elite. The elites in all sectors must elevate talented, charismatic, intrepid, and energetic individuals from the middle class and vulgate to fill their ranks. It is vital to have mechanisms to co-opt the best and brightest. endosmosis, nutrients passing through a membrane. Mechanisms also be effective to screen out the weak, dull, and incompetent upper-class scions from having powerful roles in society. The majority of the future ruling class will be at least 70% children of the current ruling class. The ideological, religious class evangelizes and preaches while guarding their own worldview. Their rhetoric is of abstract concepts such as virtue and sacrifice for the nations. The priest must live wholesome lives or be overthrown by the lions and vulgate. Religions and ideologies are a lacquer painted on top of our societies. The fundamental character of the ruling class and culture does not change. Islam in Afghanistan maintains the ancient tribal honor-focused culture. The Ottoman Turks maintain a Christian, Greco-Roman, pagan, rational, and tolerant culture. Islam was successful in allowing diverse cultures to remain, with the overlay of the 5 pillars of Islam and additional language of Arabic. The British ruled in the Indian subcontinent with a tiny military force because the British did not interfere in the natives' religion or culture. They did not change the Indians' personality or character. The recent election in the United States is a circulation of elites with different personalities and characters predominating in aggregate. The foxes of Obama and Bush era are being replaced by lions. The deep state interlocking director class is fighting a civil war in the shadows for power. Gustave Le Bon wrote about the character of the American ruling class. Americans have a high value on individualism, contrasted by the Japanese elites who are collective by character. The global hegemony of the United States is most effective by applying the aphorism, live and let live, earning a reasonable income from commerce as the hegemon, but not interfering in the internal affairs and governance. A foreign nation's personality and character are different than Americans. In conclusion, the incontrovertible fact of income distribution being congruent in all societies is a profound insight. The acceptance that a hereditary ruling class in society is also universal among all civilizations ever observed. The gigantic takeaway knowledge is changing wealth distribution and a hereditary ruling class are universal constants. This has been a Forward Research Report, produced by analyst Bradford Townsend. A mind is like a parachute. It only works if you open it. Farewell, over and out.